In the last section, we went through our first example of kind of practical generators, and we kind of got a sense of what the yield keyword is doing. So again, the first time we call .next, we execute all of our code in here until we finally hit the first yield keyword. When we hit yield, we return from the .next right here with, in this case, cash, because we yielded a value of cash. And then the next time that we call .next, we go back into the generator at the yield keyword, and then we continue running everything from there. To help us kind of solidify this understanding, I want to just toss in one more example. And I know at the end of the last video, I said we're going to talk about where we actually use this, but I just want to go through this one last thing just to make sure this understanding of how we're entering and exiting is really clear. So I want to toss in one more step in here along with our story. At this point in time, we've said that we were walking along the sidewalk, we went to the store with some amount of cash, and then we exchanged it for some groceries, right? That's kind of where we were at. So I want to throw in one more thing in here, one more step, and I want to say that in addition to going to the store, I also want to make a stop before we go back home. I want to stop at the laundromat. So I want to go pick up some laundry basically. Maybe it's or dry cleaning, whatever you might be thinking of. I want to just kind of make a stop before we go back home. So to add in a stop, we can add another yield statement. Remember, everything that's going on inside of this function right here, we can think of as walking along the sidewalk. And anytime that we kind of go into a store to retrieve something, anytime we go into a store is a time at which we exit this generator function and we go back to our code block down here. So I'm going to say that inside of our generator function, I'm going to say const stuff from laundry yield laundry. So now we can kind of imagine this as being, we're walking down the sidewalk, we go into the store with some cash, we come back out to the sidewalk with some stuff from the store, we then continue walking to laundry place or laundromat, whatever you want to call it. Once we get there, we go into the laundry place or the laundromat with some amount of laundry, and then we come back out with some stuff from the laundry, presumably clean clothes right here. So basically this variable could also be clean clothes. And maybe that'd be a little bit more clear. So I'll change that to clean clothes. And then finally, when we're walking back home, we have both stuff from store and some amount of clean clothes as well. So maybe we will return both stuff from store. Let's just make this an array. Stuff from store, and we've also got clean clothes, like so. So now I've got two steps in here, but I only call our gen.next twice. So the first time that we call gen.next, we enter the generator and we run all of the code all the way up to the first yield statement. And then we kind of pause right here. We walk back out, or excuse me, we're in the store, and we walk into the store with our cash. And eventually I call gen.next with groceries, so that re-enters the generator. It runs all the code we have until the next yield statement, at which point in time we enter into the laundromat, which means we now need to call gen.next again with clean clothes. So we re-enter the generator again. I know this gets confusing. We re-enter the generator again, and now execute everything from clean clothes all the way down to the return statement. And so our end value now is we get cash, laundry, and then we finally hit our return statement, which has both groceries and clean clothes here. So my goal here, by kind of expanding on this, is to demonstrate that we can call yield inside of a generator multiple times. And for every single time that we have a yield statement, we need to call .next, because that is how we advance through our generator. That is how we execute code inside of our generator. We execute code by calling .next. Okay, so I know that I perhaps have not made this any easier. Maybe I've just made it a little bit more confusing. But let's now continue on to the next section, where we're going to kind of roll back on this really fancy, complicated example to something much more straightforward, much more simple. And we're going to figure out why in the world we use generators. So I promise, next section, I'm going to say, why do we use generators? So let's continue in the next section.